All right, so in this video, what we're gonna do is create this skeleton. And then in the next one, we'll build out like the advanced controls. So really this is just so we can start to think about how to animate our character, and start doing the idle states and walk cycles and stuff like that. So I'm gonna select my root here and just delete it, and then do edit, delete all by type history to clear it out. So what we want to do is start to lay out the skeleton. So I'm going to hold spacebar, right click on the word my, and go to my front view. And what I tend to do is hold control and spacebar, and that lets me go into expert mode. And it sort of saves me time. I'll switch back and forth between this mode. So let's create our skeleton. So I'm going to hold the spacebar down, and I'm going to go to skeleton. Notice this gives me a hotbox with all of my options. You can also go up here and change it to rigging and select skeleton here if you prefer. So I'm going to hold spacebar down. I'm going to go to skeleton. I'm going to go to create joints, and I'm just going to click right here in the center of my character's pelvis. And let's open up our channel box and name this root. Now it's really hard to see, so I'm going to change the radius to roughly 25. Then I'm going to hit W, and I'm just going to place a bunch of joints by holding shift, left click, and moving it. And what I tend to do is just sort of line it up with this center line here. So shift, and then one for the knee, and one for the base of the foot here. I'm going to go to the right view, and same thing as before, hold spacebar, hold the right mouse button, and bring up the channel box. Select that. Now I don't want to keep selecting the mesh by accident, so what I can do is uncheck here, which will allow me to not select polygonal surfaces. Now for the knee, you want it to be a little bit forward. When we create something called an IK handle, it needs to know the bending position. It'll make better sense when we actually create the IK handle. So this is going to actually be sort of like the anchor for the ankle, and then I'm going to hold shift, and this is going to be roughly where the start of the toes are going to be, and then this is at the end of the toes. So I'm just going to name this L underscore, and I'm going to hit Control A and then Control C to copy that, and just name this toe node, and then foot, and then we'll name this ankle. Let's do knee. And then hip. And then in my front view, what I want to do is I want to parent these all the way up. Let's go to perspective actually. Parent these all the way up to the root. Now one thing I want to point out is if you do not see your joints through the body, you want to turn on X-ray mode here. And that'll let you see it. So I'm going to go in here, select that toe, and then hit P like Paul or like Peanuts. And then just keep going up this chain, pressing P. Now for this root, let's go to our front view. I'm not gonna just yet, connect this to this, because I want to lay this out for the rest of the body. So I'm gonna hold shift here. I'm gonna put one at the base of the rib cage, one in the center between these two shoulder bones, one at the base of the neck, one at the base of the jaw, and then just one at the top of the head. Sometimes I'll put one in the center of the face and then create eyes and stuff, but for this particular character, there's gonna be no eyes. All right, holding shift here, I'm gonna go to the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and then normally if we were gonna add fingers later, I would add a, I'd add a palm bone, and then I'd extend it out to some fingers. So for now, I'm gonna pretend that this character, it really just has these flat hands. It's sort of this generic robot. Maybe we'll make a book bag or something if we decide to do anything with it more than use it as a learning tool. All right, so let's go ahead and let's name these really quick. So R or L underscore finger node, and then L underscore wrist, elbow, and then shoulder. This will be anything in the center, I just kind of give it like a generic name, clav. And this would be like SP1. This would be neck base. And then new baby, really tired. Okay, so neck, base, this would be neck, and then this would be head node. So just something along those lines. It's important though that you have this L underscore here. So let's go ahead and just start going through and hitting P to parent these all through. All the way down into the root. And then this, what you're going for is like if I select this root and I move it, I want to be able to move the whole skeleton from that root. So let's start from the top of the head to that neck, and then to neck base. Then I think neck base is connected to clav. So let's try that. All right, cool. So what we can do here is select this L shoulder, and we can go up to skeleton here, mirror joints. Also, just to kind of show you, if you hold spacebar and you go to skeleton here, you can see that there is mirror joints here too. And I already have this typed in under YZ. You want to do search for L and then replace with R. So when I select this and I hit apply, notice it finishes it for me. And in my channel box, it automatically changes the L to the R. So let's do the same thing for this. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to move my root out. Make sure everything follows. Looks good. Now let's go ahead and start to bind this or parent, skin these joints to the mesh. Now, the reason I segmented these is it makes it easier to clean up skinning and stuff. So let's make sure to turn that on. So what I'd like to do is select this hip, and I want to select all of the joints in the area, like by holding shift, selecting each one of these. There's a faster way to do this. And then selecting this leg, and then I'm going to go to skin, and then I'm going to bind the skin only to a selected group of joints. So instead of having to select each one of these, which you could maybe miss one, especially when they're pretty compartmentalized like that, you can actually select the parent of all of these joints. Remember, we parented this up to the root by typing in a special mel command, which is the word select -hi. So SELECT-HI, and then if I hit enter, you'll notice it selects everything in that chain. Now I have a tab here called the margin where I save these commands that I use often, and the way you could do that is you just click on here and then you go to new shelf, and then you can name it whatever you want. I just named it after myself. So the way you can add that to your shelf, I actually have one here. I'm going to delete it and just do select-hi, and then you double click to highlight, and then you hold the middle wheel on your mouse and you just drag it up here and it'll create a shelf. And that is a mel command, not a Python command. So now when I click that, you can see it selects it. And I'll hold shift and select the leg. And under skin, bind skin, you want to do selected joints, not joint hierarchy. The reason for that is because I don't want any other joints in the body to control this area except these. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And now when I move this hip, you can see that it gives me, okay, skin deformation. Now, this isn't, again, this is a game design video, so actually this leg needs to be a little bit further out. Looks like these are not perfectly mirrored. But anyway, we are building out like the basics. If you want to learn more advanced stuff, I have other videos, just let me know. But yeah, this is more about building a generic gray box game that you can eventually swap out characters and environments for. All right, so let's go through, let's power through that. So let's select all those, bind that. For this, if I select the root, notice if I click on this, it's going to select everything. So for this torso area, which really consists of these three elements, I'm just going to select that root, this spine 1, and then your clav. And then I'm just going to select this thing here, and then I'm going to hit apply. And the reason for that is because when I move this, I really only want it to affect that and not the neck. Now for the neck, because I'm not selecting the root, I can select that neck, the neck base here, which is this one here. And actually, I might just shrink these down a little bit to 20 to see it better. So actually, a trick is you can hit this, and then with all of those selected, you can make them 20. Well, let's do 15 maybe. All right, and then I'll select the head, apply that. Here we go. And across the arm, apply that. And then lastly, apply that. And let's go ahead and go to perspective view. I'm gonna go ahead and save this. And then when I go to rotate this, you can see now we have the little robot arms. We have the legs working. Let's see the hips. And then let's take a look at the head. We can turn the head. So I'm going to return it back to its T-pose. Now, if you mess this up and you forget, what you can do is select the root, hold shift, or is it, yeah, control and right click and do assume preferred angle. And it'll snap back to the original way that the rig was made. Now, this looks a little weird. Let's see. Let's undo this a bit. There we go. And then let's zero that rotation out. So sometimes that works. There shouldn't be any rotation on any of this. So let's go ahead and select all of that and make sure our rotations are set to 0. There we go. Now it should be clean. Okay. That's it for this one. In the next video, we'll start looking at building out controllers and IK handles.